So I wanted to come on and just talk to you about how we achieve those dark colours and how you can do it a bit easier than perhaps the sort of normal way of just kneading in gel colours into white sugar paste or even pre-coloured sugar paste. So I'm going to switch the camera over. As usual, please let me know if there's any questions, guys. I'm here to just answer anything that you have got questions about today. So please don't be shy, don't hold back, ask anything you want. So again, make no secret of the fact that I love Massachusetts as a sugar paste. It's my go-to for weddings. So the colours that I've got behind me are obviously the dark green, the dark blue, and they are quite fashionable. But obviously this would work for any dark tones that you want as well. So it could be that you want like a really deep berry colour or something like that. And again, I've done it on those as well and it works beautifully. So the first thing to note is that you can obviously buy white sugar paste or buy pre-coloured sugar paste. Now the pre-coloured sugar paste, I'm just going to grab some scissors. The pre-coloured sugar paste, this is called Sailing Blue, and this is Massachusetts blue sugar paste. And when you see it, you'll see that it's nothing like the blue cakes behind me. So these are 250 gram packs. You can get them at all usual cake decorating stores online now. But obviously when Massa first came to this country, you could only really get it from 2 places. And because of that, it was still quite pricey. But I think these are about, you can usually pick them up for about £3.50 a pack. Now that is, it's Sailing Blue. It's really bright blue. It's great for kids' cakes. And it's a great base foundation colour for what we're going to achieve. The same with the green. The green I actually prefer to the blue on its own, so I have actually used the green on its own before. But it's still quite, it's like grass green, it's actually called grass green. You know, these are great for kids' cakes as they are. You could go ahead and use them on kids' cakes as they are, and they're nice and vibrant. But for weddings, for me personally, you know that I'm not like big on really bright, vibrant, vivid tones. I much prefer the more subtle, slightly muted look. And I'm a big fan of neutrals. Having said that, I will use brighter, bolder colours like this, but I don't like them bright like this. So the first thing I will do is just add a little bit of black. So the Massachusetts black is a great option as well. Those that nearly fell off the island then, just nicely rolled away. So what you would need to do for this is just factor in how many blocks of, say for example, the blue that you want to do, and how many you need for the tier you're covering or for the cake you're covering, and then just also factor in a block of the black. So we're not mixing this in any sort of large proportion, we're mixing small amounts in. And absolutely you could put some navy blue in here if you wanted. So what I'll do is I'll put some navy blue. So the Pro Gel navy blue is a great paste colour. It's a really nice deep blue. So you could just go ahead and deepen this with the navy blue. Gosh, it's really firm. It's cold in here this morning. You could just colour this with the navy blue. But if you've got a lot to cover, if you're doing like a whole cake, like the one behind me, that is a lot of elbow grease, and your wrists, and I don't know about any of you guys, whether you get sore wrists when you're kneading sugar paste. The Massa one is quite a firm sugar paste. But yeah, let me know if any of you have problems. Hi Abby, hi Julia. Whether any of you experience, like, I dread having to colour sugar paste. I really dread it because I know that it's going to take ages, it's going to change the consistency of my sugar paste, and it's going to exhaust me. And more often than not, I'll end up with sore wrists the next day. So I don't know if you guys have problems if you do a lot of cakes and you do a lot of colouring. I don't know if it's more of a problem like with, this is really thick. It's a brand new one. Whether you have any problems like with sore wrists or anything like that, I really do struggle with them. I have to kind of take it easy. So this really came out of that necessity that I couldn't bear. I was getting loads of inquiries finally for my darker cakes, and I just couldn't bear to colour kilos and kilos and kilos of sugar paste. So yeah, I just thought can't do it. So the amount of navy blue that you would have to add to this to get it to where you want it to be for like a really deep navy blue cake is a lot. So not only is it all that elbow grease, and the cost of Pro Gel, because you might have to use like a full one of these to do like a full cake. It's also exhausting. So I've added 2 lots of the Pro Gel there, whilst I've not added a lot as I go, because I'm also mindful of not wanting to change the consistency of this. I don't want this to become unworkable so that when I put it on the cake, it starts tearing and ripping, which it will do, even with the best sugar paste. And if you have other sugar paste brands, then you might struggle with that even more than you do with Masa. So instead what you can do is just start to add a bit of black. And again, the kneading part is only going to get us so far. So the black, putting in the black at this stage is just to knock back the colour, so knock back that vibrancy a little bit, and to darken it, take the tone down slightly. Okay. And you can do this and leave this overnight because the black will develop into the blue. And again, it's very sort of intuitive. So what I would do is get one of your blocks first. So like I'm doing now with 1 block, and weigh how much black you're putting in till you get to the desired colour. And then make sure that for every block that you mix, you are weighing the black so that it's the same every time. And then when you come to combine all the individual blocks, just keep popping them in your Ziploc bag. When you come to combine all of them together, they're all the same. And then you don't have to knead it as much to get them all in together, because obviously the bigger the piece of sugar paste that you're kneading, the harder it is, the more of a workout it is. So if you just weigh the sugar paste, the black sugar paste from the first one, weigh how much you've put into it, and then make sure that you replicate that with every other individual 250 block. I think they're 250, yes they are. Now they do the black in I think it's a 1 kilo block size, but you won't need a kilo of it. Unfortunately, I don't think they do the blue and the green yet in the bigger sizes. I think they do like the white, the black, the ivory maybe. I might be wrong, so please correct me if I'm wrong, if they do the blue and the green in bigger sizes. I wish they did. Well, they might do. I've just not seen it. Hi, Rachel. Okay. So straight away, you might not be able to see that on the camera, but it's really knocked back how vivid that is. And we're obviously, like I say, depending upon the final effect that you want, will depend how much sort of black you put in here. But it's not making it look black in any sense, which just goes to show how much gel colour you'd have to put in to sort of make any kind of significant change. And like I say, usually I would do this the day before, just because you're working it quite a bit and you're softening it quite a bit. You're adding in quite a bit of Trex, so it just lets that colour condition overnight, but it also lets your sugar paste just refirm back up again. You might not be able to see this on the camera, but we'll have a go. It's just knocked back that vibrancy a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see that. Hopefully you can. Just by adding a little bit of black. Now with the 3-tier one behind me, I'll show you that one again. This one here, I haven't actually, all I've done is added colour into this one. I don't know if you can see, it's a little bit dusty actually. So all I've done is kneaded colour into that. I haven't done anything else with that. And so I added navy and then I added some navy Pro Gel into it, just to darken it a little bit. and then the rest of it was done just by adding black sugar paste. Okay. So once you've got to this stage, you can then use that on your cake. That's really quite soft now compared to this is how it came out of. You can see this is less soft, that's the new stuff. And this is the stuff that I've kneaded black into. It's really quite soft and stretchy. But it's nicely conditioned, but I would perhaps leave it for a couple of hours at least, or overnight, just before I started to try and roll it out and put it on the cake, because it's a little bit soft. It is warm under these lights, so. Okay. Get that black in there as well. So once I've got it onto the cake, I've knocked back the colour, I've got it onto the cake, and we are covered. Okay, a couple of things here. So cover it as normal, and make sure that, because we're going to paint in it, it's a bit like the lustre. If you watched the lustre tutorial the other day, I think it was earlier this week, painting it will highlight any sort of imperfections in your sugar paste, so that is one thing to be mindful of. But make sure that with your smoothers at the end, you've just cleaned your smoothers, so you've not got any corn flour on there, and you've just rubbed your smoothers all over it, and they will take off any excess corn flour. So sometimes you see in cake groups and people are saying, oh, I'm working with really dark sugar paste and there's just corn flour marks all over it. Well, there's hardly any on this. So, and I use corn flour. So the Cake Decorating Company has brought out a new navy sugar paste it's the Sugarpaste range. I've not tried it though. Oh, great, Fiona. Well, let me know if you do. Yeah, it's definitely, because obviously massa's quite expensive. So I'd be interested to know the cost difference as well. The Sugarpaste Company White, I think it's about half the price of massa, so yeah, definitely worth a look. So obviously at this stage you could leave it like that if you wanted, if that's the colour you want, but more often than not for wedding cakes I'm trying to get a nice deep navy colour. Now the way I do that is just getting some of this navy, which is proving to be trickier than I thought because it's really solid. There we go. I just need to squeeze a bit more, I think. But yeah, you could use whatever gel colour you want, brand I mean. Okay. And then we're going to use either lemon extract or dipping solution. So as we did with the lustre tutorial the other day, these are high alcohol, so they're going to dry really quick. Use the lemon because I like the smell. Okay, and you need quite a bit. So we're wanting it to be quite a watered down paint. Grab a brush to mix that with, 2 ticks. Okay, so I'm just going to mix this into a watercolour basically. And again, like we did with the lustre the other day, you can absolutely have one that you've covered, you know, just with your excess sugar paste, just leave a bit rolled out on like this is just on a ganaching plate or on a chopping board or anything like that. Leave that overnight next to your cake to firm up the same amount so that you can then go and test. And you can see those bits here. I'm just with this brush making sure that everything's mixed in. We don't want any sort of splatty bits. Making sure it's fully mixed in. Now the liquid that we've used is a high alcohol content because we want this to evaporate quickly. We don't want to be wetting the surface of this cake too much and then the water sitting there seeping into the sugar paste, because obviously it's nearly pure sugar and it will start to go tacky. With this one, it's will dry off within minutes, so it's not going to really have a chance to make your sugar paste go sticky, which is ideal. So I'm just checking all of that to make sure that I've got another. This Pro Gel batch is particularly, it's not quite as runny as it is previously, so I don't know if they've changed the formula. It's a brand new one, so you guys might have noticed a difference. If you have, let me know. It might just be a rogue one. It's just taken a little bit of extra time to mix in because of that. these. There we go. Okay, so you can mix this depending upon, you know, what custom tone of blue that you want. You could also add a bit of black into this if you wanted. So again, if it was still too blue for you, you could absolutely add a bit of black into it. And just like with the luster, we're going to test it. Okay. So you might decide that's not dark enough for you, and you can add more blue in. You could add some black into it, or you could just build up the colour by adding more than one coat. I'm going to add a little bit more blue in. Even though this one is not fun to mix. But usually it takes seconds to mix, it's just because that Pro Gel tube is... I've had some Pro Gel tubes where you literally, if you leave it on its side like this, without the lid on, it ends up pouring out. And this one is like, I'm squeezing really hard and it's hardly coming out. Maybe they've changed it. But for me, this is just such a quick and easy way of changing the colour of a cake. You can get custom colours. So I've had a bride last year or the year before, and she was obsessed with a certain Farron Ball blue tone. I don't know if I've told you this before. She had it in her house and she was obsessed with it. And what she did was she painted she was a designer, and she painted a swatch, like she had a sample pot of it and she painted a swatch of it onto paper and posted that to me in the post for me to colour match against. And so yeah, we did quite a bit of trial work to get the exact, to make sure that I knew exactly how many grams I was mixing of the black into the sugar paste at this stage, and how much Pro Gel I was adding in at this stage. But yeah, it's all part of the service, but don't forget to charge for that time, that trial time. Some people are particular about their blues and their colours, and other people are just like, just a navy blue. Okay, so you can see already the difference that I've added that extra bit of Pro Gel in. But if you wanted it darker, you could absolutely layer that up, or you could add some more Pro Gel or some black. Totally up to you. And like with the luster, make sure that you've got enough to do the whole of your cake. I don't think I'd do there. I'd mix more than that if I was going to do this whole tier. But I'll do one section of it, and we'll do the top as well. Okay, so just like with the luster demo the other day, we're going to have some nice sized brushes. We're going to have a dry brush and a wet brush. Just making sure you guys can see that. And I'm just going to dip in, make sure that it's not dripping on my brush, and we're just going to start to paint it on. Now, unlike the luster, you're going to want to just pay some attention, because it's a bit more obvious than the luster, so you're going to want to just pay some attention to where it's going as you're putting it on. And you can see it is a bit of a messy job. You will get splatters everywhere, so if you've got a worktop that's particularly susceptible to staining, please protect it. Okay, so at this stage I'm just going to, so I would usually do the whole tier in one. And then this buffing bit will literally dry it off and also help to get rid of any brush strokes. So I'm just brushing that backwards and forwards. And then I would go back and do another coat of that just to even out, just like we did with the luster, just to even out any unevenness, really. That's the word I'm looking for. So I'll show you on the top here. And obviously this is the dry brush now, and as you go, the dry brush will become wet, so don't forget to go and dry that off on some kitchen paper, or have a second dry brush ready. And you can see all that coming off there on the paper. And then that will air dry within minutes. Okay. So just want to show you, I've done sort of half of this cake. This was it before, that's the colour before, and that's the colour after. if you can see that join there between the side and the top. But hopefully you can. Let me know. And if not, I'll show it again. I'll wait for you guys to let me know that you've seen that. Now I'm just going to add a little bit more liquid to that so I can do a second coat. But yeah, you will get some paint splatter, so be prepared with your worktops if you've got worktops that don't like, you know, that will stain, because some of them stain incredibly easily. See if I can see your comments. That looks amazing. Oh, good, Sarah. I'm glad you could see it. Okay, just added a little bit more liquid and a little bit more colour into this, and I think this one's actually a bit darker. Yes, it definitely is darker, this one. You see that one there. But you can custom mix these and test on these, let them dry, add a second coat. A second coat is always great for just evening out, but if you want actually some brush strokes, then that's great. You know, that you might want that look on there. This is definitely a darker paint, and I do prefer it when I go a bit darker, to be honest. So what I would advise is that you try and go round your cake. So go round your cake around the top once, then do the middle, and then do the bottom. So do all of that in one. Try and do it as quickly as possible, because I'll show you in a second where you'll get joins. If you do it how I've actually done it here, the reason I've done it with half the cake not done is so that I can show you the before. But try not to do that, because you'll get these stop-start marks. And then make sure you do any sort of evening out at this stage with the dry brush. Make sure it is a dry brush. Okay, the top. I should have done half the top really, shouldn't I, so that you could see it better. Don't always think of these things till afterwards. Okay. So that's getting a bit wet now. Can you see how it's just sort of taking it round? So you could dry that off, or you could switch it to a different brush. And you're just kind of buffing. So I'm just going to show you the original colour. So this was the original colour, knocked back from how bright the it came. And then try not to get my hands on that. So this is where it stops here. And you can see where I've stopped the brush. So ideally what you do is you go all the way around at the top, all the way around the middle, all the way around the bottom as quickly as you can, and then take your dry brush round. Okay, so that you don't get these stop-start marks here. But you can see it's such a nicer, darker colour, and obviously you can go darker than that if you want. That for me is like a navy blue. That's now a navy blue. Obviously if you wanted to do green, it would be exactly the same, but you would just use the green tones. So here I have, just clear this away because, like I say, it's super messy. So I've got a couple of boards here that I've just covered with the green, the Massa green. Now, these two are slightly different because this one is just how it comes, and this is the one with the black, with a little bit of black added in. So you can see, or hopefully you can see, it's darkened it a bit, it's taken out some of that vibrancy. So I would say that's starting to get to be a bottle green now. So just like we did before, so I'm using the Pro Gel Holly Green, and you will get you will get mess on your hands. Just check your question there, Sarah. Do you think it would work doing something like this with lighter colours on white sugar paste? I'm doing girly cake for my goddess next week. We would love to try it, but definitely don't want to mess it up. Lighter colours like what, Sarah? So if you were using white sugar paste, what colour would you be trying to get to? Do you mean like a pastel pink, or do you mean, I don't know. Just let me know what, whoops. Just let me know what you mean on that one. But yes, absolutely, broadly, like you can use this with whatever you want. It would actually be less risky with a lighter colour, I think, because you're not sort of, well, it's just not as obvious. So I would definitely wouldn't worry about doing it with a lighter colour. Okay. So again, I've just this is the Holly Green, I think it's called. There it is, the Holly Green from Pro Gel. And I think for the dark green one behind me, I actually added black in as well, quite a bit of black, more black than I did on this one, just because I wanted it like really, really deep black. But this is why it's important to do these bits, because before you go anywhere near your cake, you need what it looks like in the bowl. Once you put it on top of something that's already dark, might not be what you want. So just check it. And it's dead easy to do. So just with your cut-offs from when you've covered your cake tier, just roll a bit out. It doesn't need to be trimmed like this. Just roll a bit out and leave it on a chopping board overnight to firm up, and then use it for your little test patches. Okay. The other thing that it does is that it kind of gives it a more luxurious finish to your sugar paste. Sometimes the dark coloured sugar paste can look a bit flat, and for me these kind of, it just brings that richness back. I'll just show you this on this one, which was the standard, this was the standard green that came, how it came from Massa. So it's still quite vibrant, that one, whereas this is definitely deeper because we put that black into it beforehand. Hopefully you'll be able to see that on the actual camera. I'll just wait for this to dry actually, and then I'll do a second coat. Let's see if Sarah's come back with... Hi Denise! So you'll definitely have to let me know what colours you're working with. But yeah, definitely, and please do like send me a picture of the cake as well. You know I love to see what you guys are working on. Okay, so that's just about dry. I'm touching it fine, then nothing's coming off. So that's how quickly it dries off. And you can cover these, you can change the colour of these cakes within minutes. It's such a huge time saver, honestly. And when it comes to charging your clients for this is such a quick way of doing it. Then obviously you've still got to factor in the cost of the coloured sugar paste, but it's such a time saver on your wrists, and that's why I kind of discovered it. But also it's such a time saver in terms of just process. You know, like you could spend, I've spent hours before colouring sugar paste, no lie, like when I've been colouring sugar paste for a full tier, it's taken me hours. And do you know what, then the next day I've come down to it and it's developed, the colours developed even more, and it's ended up not being what I wanted. And then you're like, oh my God, then you're having to add white into it, or, you know, to lighten it again. So that's the difference just by adding 2 coats of the Pro Gel watercolour mix that we've made. And this mix, you know, you can use this. I've used it with sponges to do sort of watercolour technique. This is just for, you know, if you're wanting a full-on flat colour, but you can use this to watercolour, you can use this to sponge colour on, you know, if you're wanting to create like cloud effects or watercolour effects and things like that. So it's just such a really quick and easy way of achieving paint effects. I'll just show you it on white, because the other thing I wanted to talk about briefly was ready-made paints. So the other day when we talked about lustres, you know I prefer mixing my own because I've got greater control over the final effect. I'll do 2 coats on this actually so you can see what this looks like with 2 coats. But it gets rid of any sort of bits of any white flecks of corn flour that might have sort of be stuck into the sugar paste. It just kind of, yeah, it just makes it look richer and a better quality, personally. But yeah, I'll leave those to set. What I will do is just paint some onto the white, because like I was saying before, in the lustre demo that we did the other day, even though I do prefer mixing my own colours, there are obviously products that are ready-made lustres and there are products that are ready-made paints. So I've never used them though. So let me know now if you have used like the Edible Arts Sweet Stick paints. I'm really curious to know because they look like such a quick and easy, not sure that's like a pinky purple colour. I have a claret coloured Pro Gel that I love and would love to give it a go, Sarah. Do your little test. I'm just wondering if someone's at the door. I could see something there. Do your little test, roll some sugar paste out and do a test on it and come up with a mix that works for you, that gives you the desired effect. I love this side of things. I love the experimenting. Sometimes it can be a bit frustrating if you can't achieve what you want to achieve. Pop it in the group if you are, send me a message, I'm happy to help. But actually, sometimes when you're experimenting, things come from it that you're like, I actually really love that. It's not right for this cake, but I'm totally going to use it on something else, and it can give you a creative idea for something else. So yes. I have a claret coloured Pro Gel that I love and would love to go dark, but she's only 6 and loves all the typical pasta. Yeah, use it definitely. You just won't have to put a lot of the Pro Gel in. You won't need as much as I put in on this, for example, at all. You'll need a touch. So if I've just kind of like squidged it in for demo purposes here, but you could absolutely just like take some off the tip of the Pro Gel when you squeeze it out with a cocktail stick and just build it up until you've got the colour. Just do a couple of stripes of each. Keep adding a little bit, or if you go in too heavy to begin with, so if for example you go too dark with this and you go, I wasn't concentrating and I've made this way too dark, rather than adding loads and loads and loads of liquid, just tip some of what you've already got into another bowl, like a small amount of it, and then add some liquid, and immediately it will become a watered down version, because otherwise you'd have to add a ton of liquid to like get it back to where you wanted it to be. So this is what it looks like on white, and I'll show you with the blue as well. Here's the blue. So I would say the blue on the white is kind of creating a colour that was like the original one that we'd covered the cake with. So this is more like the colour of the knocked back when we added the black into it. This is still quite light, but obviously you can build this up. But I would possibly, if you're wanting to achieve more of a bottle green on the white, I would possibly add some black into this, because the intensity of the green just isn't there on that Pro Gel one. It's still quite, even though it's a holly green, it's still quite, it's not that dark. This is coat 2, so you can see how quickly we're able to recoat these, and it's the same with the lustre, because we're using such a high alcohol content liquid that vodka just wouldn't be dry at this stage. It would not be dry. enough to recoat, and water definitely wouldn't be. You could leave water all night and it might not be dry, so please like don't be doing this with water if you can avoid it. Okay, so quickly just going to have a look at the edible art ones. I wonder if anyone's said whether they've used them or not. Oh, Fiona, so I'm just using as my paint, it is just simply a mix of a bit of Pro Gel and then a bit of either Dip in Solution or Rejuvenated Spirit or the Nielsen Massey Lemon Extract. So a high percentage alcohol content clear liquid. So don't try and use vodka for this. If you need to use vodka, you can, but it will take longer. You won't be able to recoat it quickly like I've just done there. And you're more susceptible to streakiness because it's so much more water in it. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, let me know if any of you have used these. So these are the ready-made paints. Can you see how it's just pulled there on that? So that's where there was a bit of like a dent in the edge, and it's just pulled slightly there. So that's what I was saying to begin with. If there's any sort of imperfections or marks in your sugar paste on your cake, you pay particular attention if you're going to paint or luster a cake, like cover a cake like this. I mean, if you're painting like other things on it, like flowers and stuff, that's fine. But yeah, it will highlight imperfections just like the luster will. There's a comment there from Lizzie. I've used them quite a lot with varying success. The golds are lovely, but I don't find them as easy to use as making my own. Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, to be honest, that was my inclination, but haven't used them, so I don't want to like poo-poo something until I've tried them. Oh, and you guys will laugh. I did the luster thing the other day, the luster demo, and last week at some point I'd ordered some of the lusters, like the new lusters that I hadn't tried before, and I completely forgot I had them. So I was like, oh, and there are these brands and there are these brands. I'm thinking, why haven't I got any of these brands? Like, I'm sure like that's a really silly thing for me to have not done. And I had done it, but they were just still in the box, and they were hidden, and I'd completely forgotten. Trying to think of too many things at once, definitely. So this is the blue one. I don't know what these are going to be like. Lizzie, you can be our guide here. Have you tried mixing these before? Have you tried custom colour mixing, or like watering them down at all, anything like that? Or have you just painted them straight on, like I'm assuming what they're designed for? They're quite similar to the one I've just mixed, actually. They're thicker, definitely thicker, so I don't think they would perhaps brush on as freely. I feel like I get easier coverage with the watered down versions, and I don't know how long these would take to. How long do they tend to take to dry, Lizzie? And do you usually do more than one coat? Have to let us know. So that's the blue. Let's try the green. Honestly, painting cakes is such a messy job. But the good news is, if you're a mesophobe, I'm sure there's a proper word for that. The good news is that this is a quick job, so you are done with it and you can clean up and move on. I quite like that green tone. It's a bit nicer, it's a bit deeper and more like it's a bit more muted than the Pro Gel one. I don't know if you can see that. It's a bit more like a moss green almost. Almost like it's already got the black in there. Probably does. But yeah, I don't know, they're still wet, so I don't know how long you would normally... Lizzie, let us know if you are still watching, if you usually do more than one coat on yours, or whether they dry quite quickly. They're still wet, so you would have to build that colour up, and I'm assuming you can build it up by layering, but I don't know for sure. But I will try it as soon as it's dry. I don't know how long that's going to take to dry, but I'll try it again. I'll layer it up. Sometimes with paints, if you're trying to do a second coat with like ready mixed paints, it it can remove what you've already put on there. So I just want to check that once that's fully dry, and I'll let you know how long it's taken to dry, because I obviously need to just wait, whereas these would be dry by now. But hopefully you can see the difference that we've made on this one. This was the colour originally, and this is the colour now. And that's just by kneading a little bit of black sugar paste into it to begin with, and then Pro Gel and some lemon extract or dipping solution, most of which you will have in the house already. So if you are already making cakes, it's likely that you'll have rejuvenated spirit or dipping solution, and it's likely that you'll have some Pro Gel colours. So this is like you're not having to order anything in particular in. You can mix more really, really quickly and easily. So with these, I always worry about like how much do you need? Like how much, and they're not cheap. So this is a teeny amount, and I could easily see me using like that for a big tier. I don't know, I might be wrong, but especially if you've got to do 2 coats, because I'm not satisfied with that. I am just going to try it quickly on the blue. So if I've used the blue sugar paste, and then go back and use the sweet sticks on it, what does it do? Because that might be a good solution. See, that feels quite nice. But I think I'd probably still always mix my own. But it feels nice actually. But I don't know how long it's going to take to go on. It's not a custom colour, so I would probably still want to do another coat on that, but it's a nice sort of light navy. I don't know if you can see it in comparison to this. It's like the first coat that we did on the tier that we covered. So we'll see how that dries, and I would probably want to go and do a second coat. But as for how long it's going to take to dry and how that second coat goes on, I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see. But you can see, using it directly on white, it's a bit wishy-washy. The green's definitely better, but the blue is a little bit wishy-washy. So I think I'd probably want to do a second coat on that, personally. But it depends what you're trying to do as well. So I will love you and leave you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye, guys.